Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another webinar organized by Pasa Kita. We are live now, and today with us we have Dr. Noramin from UTM. Dr. Noramin will tell us how do we manage our organic waste and turn our kitchen waste into plant booster. So Dr. Noramin is a lecturer from UTM and he's actively involved in sustainable farming and urban farming. His passion is to use food waste as a source for organic products and turn food waste into liquid fertilizer. So now I'll pass the floor to Dr. Norahim. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Young. So I'm gonna share my slides. Hang on with me. Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, all right, can I start?
Yes, please, Dr. Norahim.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning to all of you. My name is Norahim Ibrahim. I'm a senior lecturer at UTM, University Technology Malaysia, which is in Johor. I believe everyone is scattered everywhere, not just in Johor, not just in KL. I believe it's everywhere. So today I was invited by Pasar Kita. Thank you for organizing this webinar. The title is to, organic waste management, turning the kitchen waste into plant booster approach. So in general, what we're going to do, we're going to make liquid organic fertilizer, yeah, using food waste. So that is what we will do. So in general, the content of the webinar, I'll be dividing them into three parts. The first part is the introduction to organic waste. We will talk about what is organic waste, what kind of stuff is in there, and then we'll go into how can we prepare plant boosters from kitchen waste. We can also make them from landscape waste or agricultural waste. And then finally, the third part is to apply the plant booster to plants. Kita dah buat, and then we want to apply it. Kita nak pakai pada pokok kan? So that is the application part, which is in the third part. So this is a daily kitchen waste that we normally have. Every day we eat, every day we cook, and at the end of the day, we have leftover food. Kita ada nasi lah, we have rice, noodles, buah-buahan, and then sometimes we buy them, but we don't eat them, and finally they get rotten. Dia jadi busuk kan? So this is what we do every day, but believe it or not, yeah. So what is food waste? So before we start with the making of kita nak buat baju kan, but the first step is we have to understand what does it mean by food waste. So what is food waste? Food waste is described as all edible food materials produced for human consumption, but left uneaten. Kita tak makan, kita tak habiskan makan. Also, we can define them as any material that comes from either a plant, it could be coming from an animal, and they can be decomposed by microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, yeast, and everything. So how much food waste are we producing in our country? Yeah, according to the report by the STAR, if you look at we produce about 38,000 tons, which is equivalent to 38 million kilograms of food waste every day. This is what we do, so that's a lot of food waste. That's a lot of food, and nak jadikan teruk lagi, daripada 38 million tu, 4 million tons of food waste yang dibuang di tong sampah ataupun in the landfills, they were still in edible form, masih boleh makan tapi buang. So that's how much we do. So what is the normal way of disposing food waste? Macam mana cara kita buang? Tentulah kita buang dekat tempat pelepasan sampah. They end up in landfills. So 80% of the landfill is filled up with makanan, sisa makanan. So what is the big deal about food waste? Kenapa kisah sangat? Why do we care so much about the food waste production in our country? Of course, we're talking about our country because this is Malaysia. Because food waste contributes to landfills. Kenapa? Penuh dengan tempat pelepasan sampah dengan makanan. And then food waste, if we leave them to rot, kalau kita biarkan dia menjadi busuk, they will produce methane gas. So this methane gas is actually the gas that is absorbing heat. Bila dia menyerap haba, then the earth is becoming hotter, menjadi lebih panas. So that is global warming that we are facing now. So that is why we care so much about food waste. Yeah. So macam mana? Apa penyelesaian? What is the solution for this? The solution is first we have to do food waste segregation. Tak semestinya food waste saja. All kinds of waste, we have to segregate them. Because now we are talking about food waste, I'm just focusing on food waste. So we need to do waste management by segregating them. Asingkan sampah yang termasuk dalam kategori sisa makanan. Ya, ada beberapa bahagian di dalam rumah. Together we can do this. Yeah. Okay. Scenario 1. I think before we go into details, sebelum kita masuk tentang topik membuat baja, then I want everyone to look at this, the scenario, the first scenario here. Maybe some of us, we were trying to fertilize our plants, but we heard that we can fertilize our plants using food waste. So we just dump everything. Maybe you just put them surrounding your plant area, but you end up getting this. Getting what? You get flies, you get biawa, money trip lizards, you get mice coming over your place, we got cockroaches, you got ants. And ni sebenarnya tak best kan? And then you start feeling disappointed. Kita jadi rasa macam hampa lah because we thought that we are going to recycle the waste, but it is not happening. Last kali you akan cakap, I don't have green fingers. Setangan saya panas. This is what happened to most of us. Okay. Or scenario 2. Okay, has everyone ever grown their own chili plants? Ada tak orang yang pernah cuba nak tanam pokok cili sendiri? You grow them from daripada biji benih from the seed, you germinate them, they get sprouted, and then they start growing, and you're expecting that your chili plant is going to grow well. Okay, ideally, this is what I plan using my compost. But if it goes wrong, then this is what you will get. This is a normal situation. You get white flies, you get them rotten, you get fungi, fungi infection. Kalau you nampak daun yang warna kuning tu, that is actually a fungi, daripada jangkitan kulat. And then pokok-pokok yang lain tu, daun tu macam, wrinkles, you get wrinkles on the leaves. And that is a normal scenario for people who are trying to grow chilies. So we got very disappointed, right? Mesti kita rasa sangat tak best lah. It's macam, I'm a failure. So this is a normal scenario. Actually, in commercial farming, in large-scale farming, what they do in order to suppress atau untuk menghilangkan kesan-kesan kulat, jangkitan penyakit, ataupun gangguan daripada pest, haiwan perosak, they use what? What do they use? They use pesticides, a lot of pesticides, in order to sustain, untuk mendapatkan products which are appealing in terms of the physical appearances. Daripada pandangan mata kasar, they look very nice. They look very, very fresh. They don't have holes on the leaves. They're very shiny and almost glittering. The fruits, summer size, big size. We love those things. Tapi sebenarnya they contain a lot of chemicals which are toxic to humans. We are human beings. Of course, kita tidak kuat kan, immune system are very among us, but we don't our bodies don't like chemicals with toxic chemicals because we cannot digest them, all of them. Okay, this is an example, an example if we are trying to grow chili using a fertigation system. Okay, sesiapa yang pernah tanam chili menggunakan kaedah fertigasi, this is what will they do in order to, untuk mendapatkan hasil yang baik, to get a good chili yield. They use, first they have to use fungicide, sejenis racun kulat. Nama English dia is anthracol. So this is one. And then they have pesticides, which is used to kill different types of pests. For example, you ada aphids, you ada termites, you ada lalat buah, kan? So there are many types of pesticides which are intended to kill the insects from destroying the crops. So what types of pesticides? They have Dyna, Mac 19, Savannah, Shellmate, cypermethrin. These are all the common pesticides. They spray them on a regular basis. Maybe weekly. I don't know how many times because I don't use chemical pesticides when I do chilies. I use an organic approach. So this is just an introduction. How much pesticides that we are consuming every time we buy them, we eat them, even though if you said that you wash them properly, even kalau you kata basuh pun, they're not going to disappear. They're still inside those crops. Dalam buah, dalam sayur, they're everywhere. So that's the reality. Okay. So what does the chemical pesticides do to humans? First thing, they remain for 90 days. Let's say you spray hari ini, you start applying chemical pesticide on your crops. They will stay there for 90 days maximum, mostly. Dia takkan hilang. Even though hari-hari hujan ke apa, they don't wash away. Number two, they contribute to environmental pollutions. What kind of pollutions? We're talking about water pollution, we're talking about air pollution, we talk about soil pollution. So ada banyak cara pesticides and chemicals can actually make things worse, dalam konteks environmental pollution. And then pesticides is actually a threat to aquatic lives. Bila masuk dalam air, then it start affecting the fish, and we are eating the fish, the quality of water that we are consuming. And finally, it's damaging us. Damaging what? The internal organs when it is being ingested. Sama ada you hidu, you makan, you sentuh. That's many ways. Ada banyak cara. So that is why nowadays people are talking about organic products. Ramai yang mula sadar, they are awareness that is being raised. Why do we need organic products? Some people are just, I don't care, but it's up to you. It is your body, it is your life, that you should take care of yourself. If you think that you don't mind, it's okay, but I mind. And there are many people who, they mind about this. So we start growing our own foodstuffs, our crops, using organic method. So why do we care about these products? So organic products. So we talk about veggies, fruits, and so on. Okay, foodstuffs. It contains less chemicals, preservatives. I'm not saying that in organic products they don't contain chemicals. They do have chemicals, but they are natural chemicals, and it is less less than those chemicals that you get from normal farming, conservative one, using pesticides and whatever I've said just before. So nitrates is one of those preservatives. Nitrates is actually one of the most, mostly used um, fertilizer, be it in budget AB ke, budget tabo ke, whatever you name it, they are made of nitrates. The nitrates in it actually contributes to a lot of cancer. Yeah, you are risking a lot yourself to a lot of cancer, especially one of the most famous cancer is gastrointestinal cancer, cancer perut. It is because our bodies cannot digest too much nitrates in our body, and finally they get accumulated in dalam badan kita lah. And sometimes ada lagi satu jenis cancer yang ataupun penyakit yang menyerang kanak-kanak, ya, infants, methemoglobinemia. Kalau you tengok kat situ tangan dia, you nampak macam compared to normal people, dia akan jadi macam lebam. You nampak macam, yalah, lebam lah. That is what we call methemoglobinemia. Yeah. Then organic products contain less pesticide residue. Okay, penting one point is that bukan kita kata organic products do not contain any chemicals, but they are less, far less than those of the conventional ones. So lebih selamat lah. And then organic products are rich in nutrients. Of course lah, semua sayur ada nutrients, but what makes it different? The difference is that the content, the amount of pesticide residues inside them. So sebab tu kita kalau boleh nak dapatkan produk yang organic lah. Now we go into the organic plant booster yang kita nak cakap hari ni kan. Okay, plant booster examples. There are two ways that we can use to produce fertilizer using the food waste. The first one is using fermentation method, which is what we will be talking about today. Yang kita akan cakap sebentar lagi. And the other one is compost fertilizer, yang dibuat menggunakan kaedah composting. Composting is one of the most commonly used method, ya, yang biasa kita gunakan untuk membuat baja kompos. So right, okay, method. Ini cara dia. This is how we will do the fermented liquid fertilizer. You can name it. Dia banyak nama. There are many names of it. Tapi kita akan sebut dia sebagai fermented liquid organic fertilizer. Or in Indonesia ataupun sekarang di Malaysia, I think people know this as mol. Ada kata mol sayur lah, mol buah lah, mol ikan lah. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So fermented liquid fertilizer is a type of fertilizer which is produced from fermentation of kitchen waste materials such as veggies, fruit peels, and fish waste, which you add, with brown sugar. The brown sugar ni sebenarnya bukan gula. It's not the brown sugar that you put into your tea or your coffee. This is gula merah yang murah tu. You can get it from the market ataupun pasar basah. You boleh timbang kati 1 kilo maybe RM3, RM4. Jangan gunakan brown sugar yang dekat pasar raya yang mahal-mahal tu. Bukan So what types of food waste, of kitchen waste that you can use to make fertilizer could be coming from, as you see in the picture, there are garlic, onion peels, there are fish waste. Perut ikan, I'm not talking about the whole fish. You don't buy fish and you make them into fertilizer. Takkan kita nak beli ikan mahal, ikan parang sekilo RM40, balik-balik masukkan dalam tong buat baja. No, that doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. So what I normally do when I go to the supermarket, when I do to the market, saya akan minta dengan orang yang jual ikan, can I have the perut ikan? Can I have the fish waste, please? And they will give me a lot of them. Sekilo, 2 kilo, that's enough. Then I use them as one of the materials. And then surrounding our housing area, maybe you ada pokok jambu kan, contoh, you tak makan pun, you don't eat them, you just You see them every day dropping buah-buah tu busuk. It doesn't matter. It's okay kalau buah tu nak busuk ke apa. You can still make use of them. Boleh ataupun sayur-sayuran yang you pakai masa-masak, you throw away some parts of them. Those parts that we need. Yeah. So what does this liquid fertilizer contain? Ada apa dekat dalam liquid fertilizer tu yang boleh menyebabkan you can use them as a fertilizer sebagai baja? They are microorganisms. You know, we talk about enzymes. Microorganisms adalah makhluk kecil, the small, tiny little creatures that their job, which is converting the food waste into minerals and nutrients that is needed by plants. That is why itulah perbezaan di antara yang paling ketara dengan baja kimia dan baja organik. Because in baja kimia, in chemical fertilizers, they don't contain microorganisms. So dia memang tak natural langsung. That is why we call them synthetic fertilizer. Then, on top of that, liquid fertilizer contains nutrients, they contain humic acids, they contain proteins, they contain natural hormones. These are all the things that plants need. They are food. Inilah makanan kepada pokok-pokok ataupun tanaman kita. Without them, they won't do well, just like human beings. Kita makan sayur, kita makan nasi. Is that enough? No, not enough. You still have to eat fish, you still have to eat chickens, you still have to eat buah kan. So to make things balance for humans, the same thing as in plants. Dia kena banyak makanan lain. So we have to understand why we are not getting the result that we want from our gardening. Ya, kenapa tanaman kita jadi? Sebab tak bagi makanan yang betul. Tak cukup makan. Okay, some examples. This is my kid, Habibi. Ini gambar, this is a picture of chili centella, which is in Johor Bahru, in Johor area, in the southern part of Malaysia. Chili jenis ni memang very popular. The price, the market price could go up to 35 ringgit per kilogram. So normally it stays at 20 at least. There are a few grades. So you boleh actually gunakan liquid fertilizer yang you buat tu, and I fertilize my plants with them. So saya gunakan liquid fertilizer yang saya buat tu untuk dapatkan cili ni, menghasilkan lots of chilies actually. Cuma bila you tanam cili ni, ada yang paling penat masa nak petik dia, because I don't use scissors. I pick them myself. Sebab kalau you gunakan gunting, there's a risk of spreading the disease among other plants. Sebab tu sebaiknya guna jari, not with scissors. And another example, this is the turmeric ataupun kunyit lah. I think Malay people, Indian people, even now Chinese are using them in their cooking, because we're all Malaysian, we don't segregate. Ni lah orang Cina, ni lah orang Melayu, lah orang India. Tapi semua orang dah boleh pakai the same kind of spices in everyday cooking. So saya tanam pokok kunyit ni di atas tembok batu. No, don't say that. Jangan kata, tak apalah doktor, you tanam pokok dekat tanah you besar berekar-ekar. No, I don't have those. I plant those inside dalam tembok dekat keliling office saya. So, you still can do this. Boleh Then, I tried them. Saya gunakan semua liquid fertilizer yang telah saya buat. I use them to grow corns, to broccolis, eggplants. This is most recent ones, just 2 months ago. Eggplants are still producing now. And then in front of my house, I make, what do you call that? Kotak lah, sebuah kotak untuk you tanam sayur. For example, bayam, spinach. So whenever you open your door, you see lots of veggies in front of you. So whenever you want to use it, just pick them, just like that. And those are my kids helping me to pick the chilies. Then now we go into business. Tadi saya dah sebut tadi, this is what we are going to do. This is the basic ingredients that we need in order to make the plant booster. Jangan risau, senang je, it's very easy to do. Jangan cakap, oh doktor tak apalah, you pandai ke. No. It's about technique. It's not about you having a green fingers ke, red fingers ke. Tak ada, dia tak ada tarifan jari panas ke, tak ada. You know the right technique, you make it. So what do you need? you need a 1 kilograms. Saya gunakan 1 kilogram supaya mudah untuk kita kira. Let's say you have 1 kilogram of fish or maybe 1 kilogram of veggies. Veggies I mean yang part yang you tak nak tu. Contoh kalau you makan kangkung, you buat akar dia, you buang daun dia yang tak cantik tu, those the waste. Yeah, I'm talking about the waste. Or fruit peels. Fruit peels, kulit buah-buahan, not the whole thing. Tapi kalau the whole thing katakan ada macam nak busuk sikit, tak sedap ke apa, you nak buang, it's okay, that they can be regarded as waste. So 1 kilogram of materials, and then you need another important material, which is the brown sugar, or you call it molasses. Yeah, but if you can find molasses, that's the best. Tapi kalau tak dapat, you cari gula merah, beli yang timbang punya, by katimnya, timbang kilogram. I normally buy them in dalam bentuk sack. Bunyi 3 kilo, harga dia lebih kurang dalam 12 to 14 ringgit. So 1 kilo dalam 4 ringgit, something like that. And then you need another thing that you need is the container. Container ni biasanya kita boleh pakai balang kuih raya kan. We have lots of those empty container. The big one, those you can get from the eco shop. RM2 je kan, tambah tax 10 kan, RM2 10. Then everything, then the rest, itu je lah, that's all what you need. Itu yang you perlukan lah. So apa you kena buat? You put your first, you open your container, and then you start pouring in. Let's say you have fish. Katakan you ada perut ikan, 1 kilogram of fish paste, and then there goes in your brown sugar, another kilogram. Then you start mixing. If you want to add water, it's fine. You boleh masukkan air. Tapi the tips here, kalau you nak gunakan air, I don't recommend you to use tap water. Kalau you nak gunakan air daripada pipe, sebab in tap water contains a lot of chlorines. Chlorines will kill all the microorganisms. Daripada mana datang microorganism ni? The microorganisms are coming from those food materials. Dalam semua makanan, semua bahan makanan mengandungi bakteria yang ada di dalam. Even dalam badan manusia pun ada banyak bacteria. If you don't have bacteria in your guts, we cannot process the food. Okay, kita kena faham siapa yang buat kerja. Those bacteria are doing the job. Kalau diorang tak ada, you masukkan air klorin, you bunuh dia, and then you are expecting them to work. Macam itulah. So, untuk mengatasi masalah tu, what you can do, kita boleh keluarkan chlorine inside the tap water by leaving them the whole day, a fortnight. So you ambil satu beg bekas, dalam maybe dalam baldi ke apa, just leave it for the whole day. One day, tomorrow, then you can use them. Kalau you nak masukkan dalam you punya container. Tak nak masuk pun tak ada masalah, tapi kalau saya masukkan sikit lah. Kalau tak dia terlalu kering. Okay, I hope you understand that one. So, berapa lama tahan? How long does it last? Kalau fertilizer yang you buat ni in liquid form, almost 6 months. But I don't wait for 6 months. I use them up. Saya guna semua sekali. I don't want to wait. Saya takkan sayang fertilizer saya, because the longer you wait, the longer you keep them, nanti dia jadi rosak. Then sayang lah kan. Why don't you just keep them? You feed your plants with them. And then the storage method, cara menyimpan. Kat mana you nak simpan dia? Boleh ke saya simpan dekat depan bawah pokok ke, dekat bawah kereta ke, dekat dalam bilik saya ke? Where do we keep them? You keep them in a dark place. Kita tidak meletakkan liquid fertilizer yang telah kita buat di tempat yang terdedah kepada cahaya matahari. Because when they are exposed to sunlight, they will be damaged. Ya, macam kita punya kereta contoh, you letak dekat panas-panas lama-lama, cat tu rosak. The same with our, because this is natural product. Ada benda hidup dalam tu, you don't expose them to direct sunlight too much. Tempat yang sejuk sikit lah. And then you tak perlu tutup sangat, rapat sangat. Sometimes you have to loosen up. Kena buka dia punya cap tu untuk release gases yang terhasil. There are gases produced. Yeah. Right. Kenapa kita buat liquid fertilizer ni? Why are we making this liquid organic fertilizer? Sebab we want to increase crop yield tanpa fertilizer. Without fertilizers, there is no way your plants is going to grow. Dia tak ada makanan kan, takkan you think that okay, so I just water them and then they will with sunlight they will grow very well. That's a myth. Itu adalah satu dongeng cerita dongeng yang tidak benar. Jadi semua benda hidup memerlukan makanan untuk hidup. The same with the plants. Number two, we make liquid fertilizers because we want to convert waste into something beneficial. Ya, kita melihat waste as a source, bukan sebagai sampah. This is something that is as a starting material, sebagai sumber lah kan. And then the countries, negara kita selalu bercakap tentang pertanian mapan, sustainable agriculture. That means even without katakan satu hari nanti susah nak dapat baju kimia, tapi tak boleh makan lah, sebab tak ada baju kimia, you cannot make your own food. So kita boleh buat sebab kita ada organic fertilizer, which we are making from the waste, the food waste, the kitchen waste. So ini cara, macam mana cara kita nak menggunakan the liquid organic fertilizer that we have made. There are two ways of you applying them. One is through the watering method, kita just siram pokok. The other one, we use spraying method or foliar application. Kita panggil nama saintifik dia foliar. So kalau kita lebih suka, if you prefer the watering method, manually, you can do it once a week. Berapa banyak yang letak? About 20 milliliter, sikit je. For every 20 milliliter of your organic fertilizer, you dilute them with 1 liter of water. Tak kisahlah nak pakai tap water ke apa. Then the second one is just spraying method. Okay, you use a sprayer. You boleh guna sprayer yang kedai RM2 tu, but okay lah, you can use that one, but sometimes you get tired because you have to keep, pressing and to an extent, you're damaging it. Okay, but you boleh beli yang automatic one. The automatic one about RM60, RM40 pun ada kan. You just do this, pump. This one, you perlukan lebih kurang about 10 milliliter of the organic fertilizer. You dilute them with 1 liter of water, and then you start spraying them. The most important thing about when you use the spraying method is to spray underneath, di bawah daun. Yeah, because that is where the nutrients are being absorbed. Kalau you sembuh atas daun, maybe not that much effect. Sebab pokok makan melalui lubang-lubang ataupun you call them stromata di bawah daun, right? I'm going to show you some more examples of the application. Contoh-contoh yang saya telah lakukan. Okay, let's say I have a fish, fermented fish waste, ataupun dalam nama lain, sometimes we call them fish amino acids. Because when you ferment fish waste, you are producing a lot of amino acids. Amino acids are those nutrients that plants love. Pokok suka sangat dengan amino acid dari ikan. Sebab tu orang dulu-dulu, if you look at our mothers and fathers, maybe those elderly people, dulu dia basuh ikan, dia pun buang darah ikan tu dekat pokok. Dia basuh beras, buang dekat pokok. Then that's, ada kan, pernah dengar kan? So this is scientific because I'm doing research on this. I take measurements, I analyze the soil, I analyze the plants. They love them. So for example, dekat gambar yang pertama tu on right hand side, ada pokok ginger, pokok halia. And on the left hand side is peppermints, pokok pudina. So they grow pretty well. They love those fish. And then I use them in fertigation system as well untuk tanam pokok chili. And then you can also use them in this kind of, NutriPot lah, kita panggil kaedah NutriPot. This is for lazy people who doesn't like to water their plants. Orang yang tak suka, tak ada masa, I don't have time. Saya tak ada masa dah nak siram pokok. Then you can use this method. You have ada dua pasu, 2 vases, 2 pots. The bottom one, you put your fertilizer inside them, and then the other one on the top one you put your plant. So maybe you have to look at uh, weekly by every week you have to replace the your fertilizer solution. But it depends on you. Which one do you prefer? Which one fits you? Which kind of method that really fits me? I also use them for ornamental plants like flowers, and some of the flowers I don't know their names, but I don't bother. As long as I love to see them growing. They they're doing okay with the liquid organic fertilizer that I make. And then we have hibiscus, roses. Okay, quick tips. In order to get, because we're talking about fermentation, kita buat fermentation, sebab fermentation process to make it faster, untuk mendapatkan baja dengan lebih cepat, and to get a better quality of liquid organic fertilizer, there are a few things, a few items in the kitchen that you can use. Di samping you letak tadi I said you have the food waste, and then you put your brown sugar, and then you put your container. That's it. That's the basic ones. But you can actually make this better by adding these things. You ada belacan kat rumah kan? You have the shrimp paste. Mesti ada punya kan? Ada belacan. You have the yeast. You have the Yakult. Kenapa nak letak benda-benda ni? Because they contain microorganisms. For example, in Yakult, biasa you tengok kan iklan Yakult lah, Vitagen, whatever yogurt drinks, they contain lactobacillus. Lactobacillus is a type of bacteria that is good for the guts. Dan pada masa yang sama sebenarnya you can use them sebab lactobacillus produces lactic acid. Lactic acid is good for plants. So you boleh bantu untuk mendapatkan a good quality product from the fermentation. And then you have yeast. Dalam yeast ada apa? Ada yeast lah kan? Ada yeast adalah sejenis kulat kan? So that will help in degrading or decomposing your starting materials. Dan dekat dalam belacan pun sama juga. They are microorganisms. Ada banyak bacteria inside there which can help you make a good fertilizer. So just add them just like sikit je lah. Secubit je. You don't have the whole thing to put inside the container. Sikit je pun dah cukup. And then apa lagi bahan-bahan lain yang that you can use as a starting material? Bahan apa? Jenis apa? Contohnya selain daripada fish waste, kadang-kadang you gunakan ikan bilis kan? The anchovies, and then ada kangkung ke, and then if you have a banana tree, lepas pokok dah berbuah, ada guna dia. The banana trunk, batang pokok pisang tu contains a lot of potassium. So sangat sesuai untuk pokok-pokok yang berbuah. Okay? So ini adalah contoh lah. Then this is how I do it. I get my balang kuih raya yang kosong yang banyak kat rumah tu. You just put everything there. Kalau you kata you ada nanas, you have pineapples, you use pineapples. Sekarang musim buah kan? I don't throw them away. When after I eat the fruits, all the fruit peels will be turned into fermented fruit peels fertilizer, something like this. So you letak tadi, you label them, put them the hari berapa hari bulan, and then maybe about 2 or 3 weeks time, it is ready to be used. Normally, I will wait for maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So if you take them too early, then maybe it's still processing. It boleh pakai, tapi lebih baik bagi lama sikit lah, masih about 3 weeks or 4 weeks time. Yeah, the fermentation period. Another example for veggies, I use amino acids from the fish. I grow apa pacay, tak tahu nama Melayu dia, nama Inggeris apa? Something like that. Sawi lah. Okay, then I have bayam Brazil, peppermints, we have spinach inside. This is in front of my house. And then we have, apart from fermentation, just like I said before, another way of turning food waste into fertilizer is through composting. Untuk membuat compost, kita memerlukan other stuffs di samping sisa makanan. We can use the dry leaves, daun-daun kering yang banyak tu saya dekat dalam because I live inside on campus. Every day there are lots of dry leaves. Tu saya akan panggil itu buyer daripada Pakistan. Bye Sab. Saya akan minta dia punya daun kering, berguni-guni boleh dapat. Then you can make a compost. And then you need an animal manure, tinjak haiwan. Tinjak haiwan ni murah je sebenarnya kalau macam if you buy, if you bother to make your own lah, maknanya you nak buat sendiri, you can always buy, let's say chicken waste, chicken manure. 1 kilo saya rasa dalam RM1 je kot. That's very cheap. Ataupun 20 sen. It depends on where you buy them. And then you can turn them into compost fertilizer. With the leaves, kalau katakan if you have lots of dry leaves, you can just spread them all over the place where you plant, because this is what we call mulching effect. Mulching effect is the bila kita, when you cover the whole area with the leaves will eventually become humic acid. Yeah, then humic acid will be absorbed by the plants. At the same time, you are maintaining the moisture inside the soil. That is what plants need. Sometimes kalau hari panas sangat, it becomes too hot. Dan kesian kan pokok kan, layu je, you see them wilting, macam tak larat. That is why we need to tolonglah, we have to help them by doing these kind of things. Ini contoh an example of the a few types of animal manure. Tinjak haiwan, you can use chicken, you can use cow. We have horses here, so you boleh gunakan tai kuda. Nama comel dia tinjak, but in nama tak comel tahi. So it's okay, whatever it is still the same thing. Doesn't matter. So the first thing, if you want to use animal manure, kalau nak gunakan tinjak haiwan, it has to be dry. Kalau you gunakan terus, you ada, let's say you have a chicken at home, dia keluar prank, you pun terus ambil, letak kat pokok, they will die. Bukan sebab panas, because inside the manure, there are microorganisms which are still living. Dia nak makan. So, bila you letak tahi yang masih basah ke pokok, dia akan makan pokok tu, because they thought the plant is their food. Sebab tu you kena keringkan dulu. Yeah, that's the first step. This is one of those seminars, those workshops I normally do. I organize this inside and outside UTM. This time I use a lot of banana peels sebab tempat tu banyak pokok pisang, and ada banyak orang jual goreng pisang, so I just get them for free. We do buat sama-sama lah, we do it together and we make a compost. Kita campurkan dengan tinjak haiwan yang lain lah. Maybe about 3 weeks, 4 week times, we will see a lot of worms. Ada banyak cacing. Cacing ni, worms ni, is an indicator of a good soil, a good quality soil. If your soil doesn't have worms, it means that maybe it's tak bagus lah kan. So, jangan cakap you lah, don't say you. They are good, bagus untuk tanaman So, just to close it up, we are almost ending. I live in UTM. I live in a college, in the residential college. We do produce organic plant booster. We produce organic insecticides. We do sell herbal plants, pokok macam mana, pokok kunyit, hadia, terung, chilies, markisa yang besar, yang giant, yang besar. Not the normal one, not the small one, the big ones, the giant passion fruits. Pokok dia lah. And then we have lots of lemon trees, pokok-pokok lemon yang menggunakan kaedah TOT, marketing method. So you akan dapat buah dalam masa yang lebih cepat lah, instead of you growing them from seeds. If you grow them from seeds, it will take years to produce fruits. Itu pun kalau cukup makan. Sometimes people say, kenapa pokok saya, I've been growing this plant for 3-4 years. It's not fruiting at all. Daun je banyak. Dia kata mabuk daun apa. No, it's actually you are not feeding them with the right food, with the right fertilizer. Okay, I also write, I send articles to magazines, majalah keluarga, majalah wanita, majalah impiana. So these are just examples of what I've shared, some of the tips in gardening using organic methods. I don't use at all chemicals. So everything that I write, everything that I do is just based on organic. So I think that's all from me. I've been talking a lot. Maybe I would like to take a break. Good luck. And thank you for being with me. All right. Okay, I'm back to Yong.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much. Your talk is very interesting and very meaningful. Yeah, it's really, really informative. Thank you. So there are some questions from our floor.
Right.
So, well, let's see what we have here. The first question
Yeah.
is, can we have tips how to grow chili sandil? Mine always dies.
Can we what? Can you repeat?
Can we have tips how to grow chili sandil?
Oh, okay. Okay. The first thing when
That's
we want to grow chili sentil, I know that because chili sentil ni dia rasa lebih sedap lah instead of compared to chili siam. Those you can get from Vietnam. Sometimes you get those chilies from imported ones, yang import punya. Rasa dia tak sama because chili import ni dia rasa macam dia pedas tapi a lots of pesticides sebenarnya. So okay, the tips. Okay, the tips is first thing you have to know the growing media. Apa tanah yang you nak gunakan? That's the first thing. Are you going to use coco peat? Are you going to use the soil that you buy from daripada mana? Daripada mana-mana lah, nursery ke apa. But I would suggest instead of buying a 3-in-1 ready-made soil, cuba dapatkan 5 or 6-in-1, something like that. Yeah. Sometimes they said it's 3-in-1. Actually, ada banyak tanah liat je. So then if you end up getting tanah you jadi keras. So that the most important thing is your soil, the growing media. Okay, you can. I think in most nurseries they have those kinds of soil, maybe a bit more expensive, but that's the price. You want the good stuff, you have to invest sedikit lah for the beginning until you get your own fertilizer. So first thing is soil, and then the pest control. If you don't do pest control management, if tidak ada sistem kawalan haiwan perosak, then most likely you are going to end up macam tadilah dalam gambar tu, pokok you hidup tapi daun tak cantik lah, buah dia busuk lah, because you don't control them. You have to treat them from the early stage of your tanaman, not bukan masa pokok dah tak cantik, alah I beli racun lah, I siram, okay tak I sembuh racun. No, they don't get well. Just like humans. Let's say you dah sakit kepala, sakit kanser apa semua, you pun beli ubat. Baik ke? No, you don't get well. That is why we have to do it from the early stage. Awal penanaman, maybe you letak je, you start transplanting your plants into the soil. That's the first day, or maybe itulah waktu yang you kena letak, kena spray organic ataupun pesticides, organic repellents. So that's those two tips. One is soil, one is the pest control.
okay. So another question: should we separate plant waste and meat? I expect meat waste to make this fertilizer, the liquid fertilizer that we are talking about.
Right. Okay. I think this is a really relevant question. Applicable to everyone. So every day we eat meat, we eat ikan. Fish is okay, but I think the issue is the meat, ayam ataupun daging. So if you want to use the first method, which is fermentation method, we have to segregate them. Kena asingkan tulang dan juga daging. The rest is okay. You boleh buat fermentation, you boleh masukkan gula merah, then you can just turn off. Ya, boleh. Itu boleh. Tapi kalau you nak buat, if you want to make fertilizer using meat and bones, then the second method is better, the composting one. Not here. Saya tak cakap sangat pasal composting dalam webinar kali ini.
Jadi untuk buat liquid yang fermentation yang liquid method perlu asingkan tulang dengan daging.
Ya.
Jadi kalau plant based perlu tak kita asingkan?
Plant based, I think tak perlu sebab tulang ni it'll take a long time to degrade. Sebab tu kita kena asingkan. Kalau you masuk dekat dalam you punya botol pun, they won't be degraded in 2 weeks time, kan? Kalau you tengok orang mati, berapa lama dia nak jadi tulang? Lepas tu tulang nak jadi habuk, berapa lama? Mungkin 100, 200, maybe 500 years pun you still nampak tulang tu, kan? So that is why we have to segregate them.
I see. And can we use, there's one more question. Can we use eggshells?
Eggshells, okay. Ada banyak myth ataupun cerita dongeng tentang mitos about eggshells. You kata eggshells sebenarnya bagus to get rid of snails and slugs. Actually, we don't. They're not afraid of eggshells. Sebenarnya eggshells, they won't hurt the snails. Tak. Actually, if you want to make use of the eggshells, because eggshells contains a lot of calcium. The calcium is needed by plants to produce flowers and fruits. So kita kena tahu pokok kita tu, are you growing veggies or are you growing plants that produces fruits? Kalau you bagi contoh pokok berdaun, veggies, they don't really need that much calcium. Tak perlu banyak sangat. So, okay, if you still want to make use of them, kalau nak pakai juga, apa kata, you buy a cooking vinegar, beli satu botol cuka masak tu, and then you put your eggshells. You crunch them, squash them, dia masuk dekat dalam botol, you leave it for one month. Then you will get calcium, a lot of calcium there. Itu salah satu cara, the easiest way. Kalau you rajin, you boleh sangai dia ataupun you masuk, you put them into frying pan, you panaskan dia, keringkan, buang all the water parts, and then you blend them, you make it into powder. That's okay. Tapi kalau you malas, you just beli vinegar, masuk dalam container. After one month maybe, you start filtering. Air itulah yang jadi dapat calcium. Okay.
Jadi kalsium tu akan ada di dalam air tu lah.
Yes, inside the water. And then you boleh buang sekali kulit telur tu, tabur je kat keliling pokok. Bukan buang lah, tengah letak, just nothing goes wasted actually.
Yeah, good tips today. So we have one more question from Rizwan. Banana peels good?
Okay, banana peels is good for because it contains a lot of potassium. Potassium is one of the nutrients that is needed by plants to produce fruits. Kalau pokok-pokok yang jenis berbuah, contoh kita nak pokok terung, pokok betik, pokok bendi, anything that is fruiting, chili especially, you need potassium and calcium. They have to work in pair. So peranan dia untuk menghasilkan buah dan juga flowers. Sometimes you get a lot of flowers, but then they don't get, dia tak jadi buah because you don't have, tak cukup makan. Okay, they need potassium, which is coming from the fruit peels.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Nurhaim, ada lagi satu soalan. Tunas air pada pokok kacang bendi perlu dibiarkan atau dicantas?
Okay, this is actually a preference. Sebenarnya you an option. Kalau you suka macam saya, if I plant something, saya akan buang lah, because if you don't get rid of those tunas air, then your pokok akan jadi bercabang-cabang. Then you start getting so messy. Nampak macam serabut sangat. Tapi kalau if you buang from the early stage, pokok you akan naik macam tu. Then it's easier for management. So it's an option actually. So kalau you buang kat bawah, pokok tu akan berbuah di atas. Tapi kalau you tak buang, dia akan berbuah sekeliling. So macam hutan lah pokok you. It's up to you how you want your plants to look like.
Oh,
Tak
very
buang pun
big.
tak ada masalah. Tapi kalau you tanam pokok ada banyak, you don't want to be tak nak jadi macam bush lah, jadi macam belukar kan. Soalnya masuk sini, semua keluar, semua ada dahan. Tak cantik lah.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Ya, so satu lagi soalan ya, Doctor. Stay with
Yeah.
us for a while. One more question for you.
Right.
You mentioned about organic pesticides. Any quick tips how to produce organic pesticides so we don't need to use those chemical
Okay.
pesticides?
Right. Okay, the easiest one yang boleh digunakan as a organic pesticides is by using garlics ataupun bawang putih kan. Inside the bawang putih, inside the garlics, there is an active compound yang actually can be just like a repelling effects. Maksudnya ada certain insects dia tak suka bau bawang putih dan dia akan elaklah daripada datang kat pokok you. That's the easiest one. Then you can use pokok cili sendiri, buah lada tu sendiri, cili padi tu pun boleh jadi can be your organic pesticides. And then yang paling saya suka guna is neem oil. Neem oil, I think for Indian people of Indian heritage, dia orang ada banyak pokok neem kat rumah. Sebab I think in Ayurveda, Ayurvedic ke, in Indian traditional skin treatment, orang India dia selalu ada macam sapu-sapu dekat kulit kan. One of the most known minyak is neem oil, minyak semambu in Malay. So if you don't have minyak semambu, you get the plants, pokok semambu tu you ambil dia punya daun, you can ferment them. Use the same method, campurkan dengan about let's say you have 1 kilogram of daun semambu, 1 kilogram of brown sugar, you ferment them, and then you will get your organic pesticides. Senang je kan? Because if you know what you should be getting.
Doktor, cara kamu cakap ni senang saja. Ambil tu letak 1 bulan dapat.
Because I've done it. I've tried a lot of things, and yeah, I'm just happy to share.
Yeah.
It's
So
about sharing.
I think we will need to bring you back again to tell us more about these trips. And well, today we are already at the end of our session for today.
Right.
Terima kasih banyak-banyak, Doktor.
Thanks for having me.
Meluangkan masa. Yeah, the pleasure is ours, and we benefited a lot really from your sharing and the tips. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone for your question and for staying with us for 1 hour. So we'll see you again